In business news, an expert in the financial space has shed more light on the impact of high inflation rate and its associated effects on the economy. According to the Chief Investment Officer at AfriInvest West Africa, Mr. Robert Omotunde, while speaking on our flagship business program, Business Nigeria, he described the situation as disturbing and stated that the continuous hike in lending rates by the CBN would only trigger cost of borrowing, which further leads to inflation.
When OMO rates and treasury bills rates and bonds yields are rising, what is the implication on the real economy? You know, the very easy one that you can pick is that with rising interest rate, you know, banks will keep raising their interest rate. And when people go to their banks, they pay more. Manufacturers pay more, you know, to get funding from the banks.
Yeah.
And when they do that, what then happens? You know, if the so-called manufacturers have the opportunity to increase their own prices, they will do so to reflect the high interest rate they are paying to the banks. That's one way. If they don't have opportunity to hike the interest rate, they will absorb the cost and the prices remain the same. So from those two scenarios I painted, and whether it is a commercial paper issuance where interest rate is higher, the effect is the same. Now, in the first instance, if you hike interest rate and then the banks lend at a higher cost, and producers buy at a much higher interest rate, and they pass the cost to consumer, the implication is still more higher prices, and higher prices means higher.
The federal government wants manufacturers to embrace technological advancements and innovation as a driver of economic development in the country. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Doris Uzoka Anite, disclosed this at the 7th edition of the Nigerian Manufacturing and Equipment Expo and Nigerian Raw Materials Exposition in Lagos. Deputy Director of Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Olumuyiwa Ajayi-Ade, who represented the minister, added that there is need for deliberate attention to development of the non-oil sector through manufacturing processes and marginal attention to sustain activities of the business environment. On his part, Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, that's Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kadri, wants manufacturers to rise up to the occasion, adding that the trend of manufacturing across the world is changing.
We are convinced that manufacturing has always been a critical driver of any economic development and is crucial for sustainable growth and job creation. It has the potential to transform our nation's economy, diversify our revenue sources, and reduce our dependence on oil.
M.A.N has taken the challenge of leading the manufacturing sector to play a vital role in the nation's vision of becoming one of the leading industrialized economies in Africa. The NIRAM Expo is aimed at creating a platform where stakeholders in the raw material supply chain will come together to synergize, display, and trade in available resources and raw materials with the users of these products.
Nigerian economy. We are bringing manufacturing equipment and raw materials together to form a value chain that should advance the cause of manufacturing in Nigeria. As we are all aware, for more than 50 years, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has been committed to promoting an environment that is conducive for manufacturing business in Nigeria.
To empower and instill confidence in young girls, women in management, business, and public service organized the mentorship programs across the country under the theme Big Sister Program. The initiative specifically targeted girls aged 14 to 18 in selected secondary schools. TVC News correspondent Ifunaya Eze reports.
The WIMBI's Big Sister program is an ongoing initiative dedicated to mentoring women and girls nationwide. The latest advocacy took place at Government Senior College, Ikoyi, Lagos. The facilitators emphasized the program's focus on young girls in secondary schools, aiming to provide them with life skills, boost confidence, and enhance leadership capacity, ultimately preparing them for post-secondary life.
Our focus is on the young girls because we think that if women are in positions of leadership, they can impact society positively. And you can already tell, we make up half of the population. So you can't build a nation without ensuring that the other half of the population is equally represented. So we think that catch them young at this stage, let them have role models, that they can look up to and tell themselves that yes, we can do it, and we believe that they will do it. So far, we've touched about 3,000, we've impacted about 3,500 girls. So I'm saying in 2 years, we should be able to do about 15,000.
This event is also simultaneously happening in another school in Lagos here, as well as also there's a school in Nasarawa as well as in Abia State that we are also replicating this same curriculum for. And we know that, yes, like you said, rightly said, little drops, but eventually we'll make a mighty ocean. But what we're trying to do also is also for you to remember that when you do instill the right values, the right moral values, that skills in one person, there is also that ripple effect that it has. And that is what we are hoping to achieve. That, okay, we tell this child today, we tell them today that these are the tips for you to help build your self-confidence and self-esteem for you to become a better person.
Participants and the school authority expressed appreciation for WIMBI's efforts in training the girls, recognizing the acquired knowledge as instrumental in shaping their future.
They are exemplary. They are going to serve as mentor to the students. And the students will also read above the line that at the end of the day, they can also make it big the way these win big women are coming to talk to them about.
With my imaginations, I'm seeing myself being in a very big company, just as they are now. I'm seeing myself like going to some schools to explain more things to them and to tell them how Big Sisters have impacted my life also.
Women in Management, Business and Public Service, a non-profit organization with a 22-year history, has consistently implemented programs inspiring and empowering women in both the public and private sectors. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
The bullish run on the NGX was halted today as the all-share index fell by 0.09%. Losers in the equities markets are CNR Leasing PLC, Prestige Assurance Company, International Breweries, UPDC Real Estate Investment Trust, and as FBN Holdings PLC. On top of the gainers charter, Unity Bank, RT Briscoe, DAC Communications PLC with a 10% rise, followed by Macure Industries, then Multiverse Mining and Exploration. Asian stocks backed away from a 2.5 months high today, and dollar found support as investors tempered some of their early enthusiasm about prospect of an end to U.S. rate hikes. Now, MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan has gained more than 3% since a week ago and hit its highest in September, but it fell 0.2% in early trade as Japan's Nikkei rose 0.5% overnight. The S&P 500 snapped a 5-session winning streak and fell 0.2%. Nasdaq futures were down 0.2%. S&P 500 futures fell 0.2% early in Asian Day. Volumes are likely to be lightening through the rest of the week by Thursday's Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. U.S. existing home sales dropped to its lowest level in more than 13 years in October by 4.1% and 14.6% on a year-on-year basis, as the highest mortgage rates in 2 decades of houses drove buyers from the market. The report from the National Association of Realtors shows that the median house price last month was the highest for any October, barring a rebound in November and December. Home resales this year are on track for their worst performance since 1992. According to data from mortgage finance agency Freddie Mac, the rate on the popular 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 7.31% in the final week of September, before peaking at 7.79% in late October, the highest since November, the year 2000. Crude oil prices stayed within a narrow range today in quite pre-U.S. Thanksgiving holiday trading, as the market awaited news on output quotes from OPEC Plus producers, and Groupan looked for confirmation of a sharp build-up in U.S. crude stocks. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell at $77.40, with a downward price review of 0.48%. Brent also experienced a price decline of 0.46%, selling at $82.07, and Bonnie Light recorded a downward price margin of 0.94% to sell at $81.58. And for the OPEC basket, crude dealers are offering $84.44 with an uptick of 4.14%.